Amy Schumer got an offer from Netflix for $11 million. Chris Rock and Dave Chappelle got offers for $20 million. When my husband, who was also my manager, Sydney, wanted to have a conversation with Robbie Prohl, who is the vice president of comedy at Netflix, to ask him how come the numbers were so different, Robbie Prohl couldn't even get back on the phone with us to discuss it. He was too busy. And then Sydney had to send them back an email asking, how is it that Amy Schumer is $12.5 million more than Monique, and Chris Rock and Dave Chappelle is $19.5 million more than Monique? And it would be interesting what the public opinion was to know that the numbers were so different.
If somebody doesn't pay you what you want, you say, fine, I'll do this somewhere else, and you'll be sorry.
When you say, well, if they just say no, you take it somewhere else. Well, I'm a black woman in Hollywood, Harvey, and why should I have to take it somewhere else when my comedian brothers and sisters have been giving these offers based off of their resumes and their tenure in the business? When you look at my resume, I am the most decorated comedian alive. I am the most decorated comedian alive.
But Monique, I gotta stop you. What you're saying is black women are not treated fairly at Netflix.
That's exactly what I'm saying, Harvey. So when I say it's gender bias and it's color bias, because even though Chris Rock and Dave Chappelle are men and they're considered legends, well, when Netflix, Robbie Prohl says Monique is a legend, I'm not disputing what Chris and Dave got. They're deserving of that because those brothers are legends. However, when you put our tenure together, I think Chris may have been in the business maybe 5 years longer than me. I think Dave Chappelle and I started pretty much the same time.
Do you think Netflix, like, specifically devalues African-American women when it comes to negotiating? Do you think that's what's going on?
And my answer to that is yes, because I'm proof of that.
Hey, my loves. I am asking that you stand with me and boycott Netflix for gender bias and color bias. I was offered a $500,000 deal last week to do a comedy special. However, Amy Schumer was offered $11 million, Chris Rock and Dave Chappelle $20 million. Then Amy Schumer went back and renegotiated $2 more million because she said I shouldn't get what the men are getting, they're legends, however I should get more, and Netflix agreed. When we asked Netflix to explain the difference, why the money was so different, they said, well, we believe that's what Monique will bring. We said, well, what about my resume? They said, we don't go off of resumes. Then we asked them, what was it about Amy Schumer? And they said, well, she sold out Madison Square Garden twice, and she had a big movie over the summer. Is that not Amy Schumer's resume? And then Netflix said, by the way, we believe Monique is a legend too. Why shouldn't I get what the legends are getting? Please stand with me in this boycott of Netflix. I love us for real.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Wake Up Report. You know, I've always had a thing for Monique. Monique is just real, man. I think that's what I like about Monique. She's just real. I mean, you know, she's talented, she's sexy, she's just real. She's a real person, man. You know, accomplished entertainer, been all over the world, probably like seen it all, done it all. And you know, despite all that, she is somebody that you can sit down and just kick it with, man. You know, have a drink with, just sit down and talk. Just a real person. Just a real person. But as much as I love Monique, I gotta say, you made a mistake, Mo. You made a big mistake. As you know, Monique turned down $500,000 because she felt she was being paid significantly less than her comedic counterparts. And yes, she was paid significantly less, with Chris Rock and Dave Chappelle scoring about $20 million each for their appearances on Netflix, and Amy Schumer kind of rounding out with about $11 million, and Monique felt that she should be paid around the same as her counterparts. Netflix did not agree. So Monique is now on a quest to have her followers or her fans boycott Netflix because, according to Monique, they are discriminating against her because she's a black woman. It's gender discrimination. It is a wage discrimination. And turn off your Netflix if you support the mighty Mo. And sorry, Monique, it ain't gonna work. You know, nobody's gonna cancel Netflix and protest Netflix because you turned down $500,000. Now, $500,000 kind of pales, I will agree, in comparison to $20 million or even $11 million. But you got to think about it. Dave Chappelle is just a classic. Okay, Dave Chappelle left television, left his original show, which I felt was a mistake because that was like a $50 million payday that he walked away from. But, you know, he didn't like the direction that the show was going in. He took some time off. He came back. But Dave Chappelle is as strong as ever. You know, he makes an appearance on Saturday Night Live. Boom, highest rated show. Does a concert. Concerts sell out immediately. Same thing with Chris Rock, same thing with Amy Schumer. So what it is, Monique, is, you know, if you want to be paid the big bucks, you got to be a big draw. And it doesn't seem like you're just that big of a draw to the point to where Netflix wants to pay you $20 million. Now, I believe Netflix started out as a DVD rental service, if I'm not mistaken. And then they moved on and to start their own original programming. And as Netflix grew, now Netflix is able to fork over that kind of money to get people to perform for Netflix. You know, so they can have exclusive content. So you go to Netflix and you check out Chris Rock. You go to Netflix, you check out Dave Chappelle and Amy Schumer, and you could have done that with Monique, you know, but Monique said she wasn't having it with the $500,000 payday, and I consider it a payday. I mean, you know, if Netflix came to me and said, KTM, you know, we were checking out the Wake Up Report, and we want you to do a special for Netflix on the Wake Up Report, but, you know, we're only going to pay you $50,000 to do that. So, you know, can you do that for us? When do you want me there, and what time do you want me to get started? Because everybody has to have some place that they start from. And as accomplished as Monique is, you are only as good as your last show. And that's just how it is with entertainment. That's how it is in sports. You're only as good as the last championship you won. If you're a boxer, you're only as good as the last match that you won. And Monique did a special for Amazon, I believe, and, you know, who's doing their own original programming, didn't do that well. So Netflix really does not owe you the kind of money that you feel that you should get. Now, my thing is this. Because Monique says she is a certified bona fide classic. She's a certified bona fide legend in the comedy world, and she is absolutely right. With that being said, there should be no problem with Monique being able to raise the money to, let's say, book the Apollo Theater, to book Madison Square Garden, to book Radio City Music Hall, and sell those venues out. So if you can do that, Netflix is going to come looking for you with exactly the amount of money that you want. But if you can't do that, to blame Netflix or fault Netflix, and especially to accuse Netflix of discrimination. Now, come on, you got Chris Rock just made $20 million. Dave Chappelle made $20 million. Amy Schumer made $20 million, especially with all this talk with women in the entertainment business about being shortchanged and making significantly less money than their counterparts, their male counterparts. How can you claim gender discrimination? How can you claim racial discrimination? You know, don't fall back on this because I'm a black woman that I'm not getting this. They offered you $500,000. When it gets to the point in society that you can turn down $500,000, all you got to think about is, you know, when you was eating bologna and crackers on the comedy circuit, when you couldn't pay your rent, when you couldn't do certain things, and now you're at a point where, no, $500,000 is not good enough for me. That's an insult that somebody wants to give me $500,000. Please, somebody, if you got $500,000 out there that you want to insult KTM with, by all means, do so. So, you know, I just think it was a bad move on the part of Miss Mo. But if you want to show your worth, that's the way I feel about it. Jada Pinkett has said, was it year before last? We need to start doing our own thing. Why do you always have to run to Netflix and beg Netflix for their money, or demand that Netflix pay you what Netflix has earned developing their company and growing their company. It's time, I think, seriously, with all this talk in Hollywood about women being abused and raped and mistreated, and even Terry Crews getting his crotch grabbed by people. And, well, if this was Terry Crews, if I'd have decked the guy, the news would have come back that a large black man attacked a white man, and then my career would have been in jeopardy. I wouldn't have been able to work anymore. When an industry has you at that kind of a mercy, then man, it's really time to step off and seriously think about doing your own thing. Monique, somebody's giving you bad advice when it comes to business. There ain't no way in the world you're supposed to be turning down $500,000. Think about it. Well, I don't know, what is the average comedy show, about 2 hours? You would have made $500,000 in 2 hours. To me, that is the equivalent of making $20 million. So, what is the difference? But with that $500,000, you could have built on something yourself. You could have produced a movie. You could have produced your own comedy series. You could have done something to just flat out turn that down. Not only do I think you did a disservice to you, but what about somebody coming up behind you that you could have reached back and helped? So bad deal as far as I'm concerned. Rethink that. Maybe you can go back to the table with Netflix. I would like to see you on a Netflix special or something like that, or wherever it is that you choose to appear. But right now, I think it's the time that you should really consider stepping off on your own, doing your own thing. Talk to your handlers or whoever it is that you talk to. And if Monique is that much of a legend, she should not have a problem raising the money to book a venue and sell that venue out, so you will see exactly what you are worth. And if you succeed, Netflix is going to come to you, HBO is going to come to you, Amazon is going to come to you. You'll be able to name your price. But until you can do that, don't play the race card when it comes to not getting your way. It just ain't cool. I love you, Mo, but you blew it on this one. So go back and get that $500,000. This is KTM and the Wake Up Report saying think a little bit. It will do wonders for you.